Okay, so we have a Cub Cadet here, and the customer says that it's surging. It's got a Kohler engine on it, so we're going to start it up, see what happens, and then go from there. Okay, so it's not getting enough fuel. It's surging. You may have seen me stick my finger in the carburetor. What I was doing is shutting the choke just a little bit, and as soon as I restricted the airflow a little bit, it smoothed out. It obviously has got a restriction somewhere. I would think it's going to be the carburetor, but the first thing we're going to try to eliminate that the gas is bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up an external tank to the engine, to the carburetor, and we'll run fresh, clean gas from an external tank. Looks like somebody didn't put the clamp back on. So saves us a step, I guess. Now, if the fuel filter is clogged, we will have an issue with the flow of gasoline. So I'm going to change the fuel filter also while we're down here. Now you can see that I clamped off the gas with a pair of vice grips so it wouldn't leak everywhere. Okay, so fuel filters have a direction of flow. It doesn't really matter which way you turn it. The only reason it's good to turn it this direction is so that you can see the dirt going into it. Okay, so I'm not going to hook up this side just yet because I'm going to hook up my external fuel tank. So here I got a fuel tank. It's got gas in it. I'm going to hook it up to that fuel filter down there. Okay, so there was no change with the fresh fuel, and when I drained the fuel into the jar, it didn't look that bad, so I suspected this wasn't going to be a problem. Okay, so I could clean the carburetor and rebuild it, but with the aftermarket the way it is, it's just so much cheaper for the customer. Just go ahead and get an aftermarket. I always call them to make sure that that's okay and that's what they want to do. You know, I give them the price of rebuilding it and I give them the price of the aftermarket, and they're always much happier with the aftermarket price. So we'll go ahead and start disassembling. So we're going to take the hood off, And the first thing we're going to do is disconnect the lights. Okay, so now we're going to try to disconnect the hood. A hard time getting the camera and the hood to cooperate with each other, but hopefully you can see that. I think you can. So we're going to lean it forward and lift up. Okay, so now we're going to remove the carburetor. There's two 10mm nuts here. One of them is only one of them is holding on to the carburetor. The other one is kind of a false bolt. I'll show you that in a minute. And then we got an 8mm up here that we got to get. All right, so we got the crankcase vent tube that we got to take out, and then this will come out. Set that on top, and then we have to take off our fuel line. I think you can see that okay. I'm just going to remove the clamp, push that back, then we're going to, oh, I got to shut off the gas again, so we're going to use our vice grips. We got to remove this nut here. This nut is going to, or bolt, is going to remove the wiring for the solenoid. That's a fuel shut-off solenoid. They zip tied that wire, so we're going to have to cut that out. And then we're going to take this wire off the solenoid, and then this, the linkage will come right out of the choke. They come right out of the throttle. And then we also need to take this wire off. That wire keeps all the slop out. There's a lot of slop in there. Now I told you there's a false bolt in this assembly. There it is. The only thing this bolt does is hold that on. So that's all it does right there. Okay, so we got our new carburetor, and I like these HIPA, H-I-P-A carburetors, aftermarket. They come with a lot of stuff, and usually you don't have to trade anything out, but this little plastic piece, usually you have to take out of the old carburetor and put into the new carburetor, but HIPA does it for you, so you don't have to replace that. Now the gasket was torn, the back gasket was torn on the when I took it off, so we made a new one. And see what happens is it gets tore right here, because that's what this bolt leans up against. So now we'll put our linkages back on. Get this spring wire back on. Choke. Bring this up. And then we'll put our wire back onto this nut here, put our washer, and screw this back in the back. I'm not sure you can see that. Okay, now we're going to put our fuel line on. Put our crankcase breather hose back in, and then we'll put the nut up here, the bolt up here, I mean. Okay, while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and change the spark plug, since I already have one came with that HIPAA kit. Give this thing every chance to succeed. Yeah, that's pretty crittered up. So here's the new one. We'll gap it 30 to 35. 30 goes in. 35 does not. Always thread these in by hand and tighten it with the wrench. That way you never strip it out. All right, so I'm going to clean out the air filter housing a bit. New air filter. I don't know if I showed you the old one. That one's how bad that one is. And then we'll change the secondary filter. Okay, so let's give it a try, see if it starts. Okay, so looks like we've got that resolved. Pretty simple fix. If you don't know how to order parts like the carburetor aftermarket, this up next box will take you to a video where I show you how to order aftermarket and OEM parts. So I hope this video helps you work on your equipment under the shade tree. Thanks for watching.